Hi and welcome to What to Expect When You're Selecting. Today we are here with Stephen Sims from Sims-White Architects, and he's going to chat to us about architecture and what it means to be an architect and what to expect if you are enlisting the help of an architect in a project. So first of all, thank you so much for joining us, Stephen.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing what you've got to share and lots of wisdom, I know. First things, an architect and a draftsman. If someone's wanting to start a project, wanting to start a building, build a new home, what is the difference between hiring a draftsman to draw up the plans and coming and seeing an architect like yourself to start the project?
Okay, so the difference can be very little or it can be a lot. There's probably no way to answer that question without upsetting somebody on one of those camps. But essentially, an architect has a university trained background, and we spend 5 years or 6 years at university, depending on the course, and then we spend another couple of years before we can be qualified. So our training is a lot more intense, and a draftsman in the past, particularly, their training was largely technical and around just drawing things up and not so much on the design. Now, in recent years, that's changed a bit, whereas for architects, it's a long-term training thing, and you're trained how to actually think about things holistically and how to work through a design problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it does. So if we've got a client that is looking to enlist you guys to draw up some plans and that sort of thing, like what do you expect that they would have brought with them to start the process, I suppose?
Well, you'd be really surprised what we get. We get so many people that come in the door here and they say, look, I just want you to draw something up. And that's really not our training. And generally those sorts of people, we do refer them to one of the sort of the drafties that do just do a basic set of drawings. Really, what architects like to do is to actually start with who people are and actually design something that's unique for them. You'd be amazed, building a house is the biggest investment most people make, and you'd be amazed at how unprepared a lot of people are when they come in. So I got a 4-page brief from a client recently, and it's the best one I've ever got. And the first page was describing who they are as people. And then the rest of the page was we want so many bedrooms and this is how we want them to work and all of those sorts of things. But most importantly, her and her husband were on the same page about what they wanted.
Yep.
So that was very clear. And then on top of that, she gave us a really good set of images of the sorts of things that they liked. And there was a really cohesive, coherent thread through it. So it was really easy for us to actually sit down and go, well, here we've got a really good clear direction around what we want. So that's the first thing, that's around the brief. And that actually made it really easy. And they were telling us how great it was, what we'd come up with and how excited they were. And but really it came off the back of good information from them. The second one is, and you get this as well, is actually marrying a budget and a brief together. So we tend to deal in one-off designs, and you're not getting any change from anything less than $1,500 a square metre, and even that's a stretch on a lot of sites. So it's not very hard to do the back of the envelopes, and that's something we always do in our fee proposals back to clients, is to say to them, well, you've asked for these things, we think your house is roughly this many square metres, we think the budget's going to be about this. So it's a matter of saying to them, does the brief marry up with the budget? And is it worth proceeding with the project? Because otherwise it's a lot of pain and suffering for everybody involved.
So, we've talked about this at a few of the selection places that we've been to. Having an idea of what you like and having an idea of the image, the picture of what you want is really important before they come to see you, and also knowing what their budget is, what their allowances are, so that you can partner that up. That's really good. What services do you provide to a client? So when they come to you, what's the big picture of all the things that they can
Okay.
potentially chat with you about.
So this is it. People come to us and say, what do you charge to do a house? And our answer is, well, the smallest commission we've ever had is $300, and the biggest one's over $100,000. So that's a really big range. So for the $300, we did some mud maps to test, before someone bought a block of land,
Yep.
whether what they wanted would fit on the site.
Yep.
At $100,000, we're doing a multi-million-dollar house where they've come to us at the front end with something like this, and at the end of the project, we hand them a set of keys and a bottle of wine, and there's your house.
Yep.
So we've managed the entire process for them.
Yep.
Now, generally, most of what we do for people is concept design and then some cut-down version of documentation. And certainly working with where we're working for a builder, there are some big savings in how we can undertake that documentation. But one of the things a lot of our clients really appreciate is the fact that we do everything in 3D. And I had a Zoom meeting with a client recently where the husband was in WA, the wife was at a coffee shop down the range on her iPad, and we were able to fly them around their house in 3D and talk to them
that's cool.
about the design. And
Yeah.
and you know, that who would have thought you could do that? And just the quality of the output that we're getting now is so much better than it was years ago. And that for people that struggle to read plans is a huge bonus, and it's just something we do as part of our design. So,
And that's the bonus of good software too, is the ability to have a 2D image and then transfer it to a 3D. You can do walkthroughs, you can do different imaging from different places of the rooms, and it just makes it a lot easier for the people who can't understand plans very well to know exactly what they're getting.
our design process starts with trying to understand the client, and then actually going to look at their site. You know, where are the views?
Yep.
What are the orientation? How do things work? And then we'll actually look at where we should put parts of the building and where we shouldn't. So it's actually a bigger picture than just going, oh, here's a house and let's design the house. We actually start with the site first, and then look at the blocks and how they're going to sit on the site, and then we drill down onto the detail and start pushing things around. So when we start designing, there's no sort of preconceived notion of how the house is going to be laid out. And it's always interesting to sort of see what pops out the other side. So.
And it seems important that the client or the owner needs to have an idea of land that they want to buy or have purchased it already, so that you can make a start on something.
Yeah,
obviously.
look, that's it. It's probably something we just wouldn't do, is design a house that's not for a block. For us, it's a core part of us as a firm that our work is what we call contextual, which means it has a relationship to its streetscape, its neighbourhood, and its site. And that doesn't mean it needs to look like it. The houses next to it, but it means it needs to fit in other ways.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for helping us with that part one. Please make sure you watch part two. So part two, we're going to catch up with Stephen. We're going to talk about trends that are in architecture, as well as how an architect can help you with some future planning in your projects as well. So thanks.